U.S. President Donald Trump has laid options for Iran as Washington ramps up military muscle in the Middle East. Tehran is signaling resistance. It is deploying a fresh arsenal of drones with thousands of American troops within Iran's missile range. The Gulf is turning into a flashpoint that could ignite far beyond the region. Here's more.
The waters around Iran are hotting up. The US is increasing its military presence. Nuclear-powered warship, fighter jets, stealth bombers, and 40,000 US troops are on standby in the region. The warning from the US is blunt. President Donald Trump has issued an ultimatum to Iran. He has laid 3 options. Iran must end its uranium enrichment, which is central to its nuclear program. US also wants new curbs on Iran's ballistic missile program and halting all support for Iranian proxies in the region. Trump's message is simple: either come to the negotiating table for an equitable deal or be ready for an attack far worse than the Operation Midnight Hammer. As Trump readies massive armada, US Secretary of State Marco Rubio has admitted that American military forces in West Asia are vulnerable to a potential Iranian attack.
We have 30 to 40,000 American troops stationed across 8 or 9 facilities in that region. All are within the reach, theoretically, not theoretically, in reality, all are within the reach of an array of thousands of Iranian one-way UAVs and Iranian short-term ballistic missiles, so short-range ballistic missiles that threaten our troop presence. We have to have enough force and power in the region, just on a baseline, to defend against that possibility. That at some point, as a result of something, the Iranian regime decides to strike at our troop presence in the region.
Iran possesses a large arsenal of ballistic missiles. Nearly all 8 permanent bases and 11 other sites the US operates in the West Asia are considered to be within their strike range. The CENTCOM's headquarters at the Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar could be among the key targets. As Washington signals readiness, Tehran is signaling resistance. Iran's army has unveiled a new show of strength. A batch of 1,000 drones delivered to multiple branches of its military. Tehran has deployed its drone carrier, the Shahid Bagheri, into the Persian Gulf, near the strategically vital Strait of Hormuz, in a direct counter to US's growing naval presence. As tensions escalate, Iran's army chief has sent a strong message. Any attack from the US will be met with a crushing response. Tehran rejects talks with the US. It accuses Washington of negotiating under the shadow of military threats. Now Russia is saying that there is still room for diplomacy, while Turkey has offered to mediate between Washington and Tehran. With US forces on high alert, Iran's drones and warships are ready for face-off in narrow waters. With tensions rising and diplomacy frozen, the world watches whether this nuclear standoff ends at the table or on the battlefield. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Joining us live on the broadcast is Berzine Wagmar, Center for Iranian Studies, SOAS, University of London. Thank you so much for joining us on WION. The United States and Iran are intensifying their military buildups, notably the United States in the Middle East. How do you see things going forward?
Several scenarios could pan out, but one thing is consistent and that can be stated is that particularly the timing that's coming up, which has not been discussed in analysis so far, but I would like to bring to bear from Iranian studies, is the 10 days of dawn ceremony of the Iranian Revolution, the 40th anniversary, which will occur on the 11th of February, but is also conducted nationally as a celebration for the first 10 days of February. So Iran cannot, as you will see from where I'm getting at, afford to lose face. It will dig its heels in, and the regime is determined to display its sense of bravado, strategic deterrence, and autonomy flexing, because it has, quite frankly, nothing else to offer. Also, the Iran regime is tone deaf. And that has been its modus operandi in that it exchanges communications with Washington, as Deputy Foreign Minister Garibabandi mentioned some days ago, but there are no direct talks. So it refuses even to parley with DC, and that obviously is Iran's weakness, because if you don't talk directly to Trump, but through intermediaries, precious little can be achieved.
And now, at this point, Russia says that there's still room for negotiations. Turkey, on the other hand, has offered to mediate. Is there any room for back-channel negotiations? I know you alluded to the fact that they're not speaking directly, but what about these mediators? I know Oman always played a role. Or are we just too far off at this point?
I'm afraid we are too far off. Muscat particularly has played a fruitful role in the past with hostages and the like as such, and with nuclear talks. With Ankara, of course, Foreign Minister Araghchi arrives tomorrow for talks. But you can be sure what will be on the agenda will be that what has just been revealed, namely an Iranian plot in advanced stages to attack US troops at the Incirlik NATO base in Turkey. One Iranian and 5 Turks have been apprehended in nationwide swoops conducted over 5 Turkish provinces. And the Iranians would not be in a position to deny that. It is an embarrassing moment for Tehran, as Turkish intelligence picked them up. So that obviously will be on talks with Araghchi, among a host of other matters. The usual blandishments about, dialing down tension in the region and the like. But if this is a development which has been confirmed by Ankara, then you can be sure that Iran was more than saber-rattling. And obviously, if an attack had gone through, for instance, you can be sure Trump's response would have been very severe already.
And Berzine, just very quickly before I let you go, so you think there is more of a possibility that Iran would attack U.S. bases before there would be some kind of kinetic attack on the part of the United States against Iran? Iran would risk something like that?
They could. They could, because the regime is determined this time out of sheer desperation in order to do something spectacular, particularly pitted against, as I mentioned, the 11 days of February, which come up with the 40th anniversary of the revolution, to show that business as usual and that we are very much here to stay and not going anywhere. But that is just pretty much bravado, because their military capabilities have been considerably degraded since the 12-day June war from last year, despite the front that Iran puts of this brave face.
Thank you so much for all of that, Berzine Wagmar. I look forward to speaking to you again very soon. Of course, we're following this story very closely.
Pleasure.